Hi everybody, this is Father Moki Hino coming to you from Good Shepherd Episcopal Church in Wailuku, Maui. Today is April 22nd, 2021, and this is Chicken Chat, along with a chicken who has decided that he wants to be in very close proximity to me. I can't fathom why that would possibly be. Also, in case you didn't know, today is Earth Day, a day when we are thankful for the earth and commit to being good stewards of the earth, which is good because it ties in many ways with Good Shepherd Sunday, which is coming up this weekend. Our Bible verse for the month of April: my grace is all you need, my power works best in weakness. My grace is all you need, my power works best in weakness. This is from 2 Corinthians 12:9. Also, birthdays this week, we have Kayela Santiago and Mark Sitz. Mark Sitz's birthday, so happy birthday to Kayela and Mark. We also do have a number of people on our pastoral care prayer list, so let's take a moment to say a prayer for our brothers and sisters on our prayer list. Most holy and gracious God, we commend to your loving care all those on our pastoral care prayer list. May they feel your healing presence in their hearts, in their minds, in their souls. Amen. I do have some very important information for all of you. We are going to repave half of our parking lot next week. The half that goes from the Church Street entrance to the speed bump at McDonald's. So if you want to come in and out of the church, which you're probably not going to be able to do because we're going to close the office, you'll have to come in on Main Street. Also, that will take place on Thursday, the 29th of April through Saturday, the 1st of May. We're actually going to close and block off the parking lot on the night of April 28th, and the parking lot will be open for our service on May 1st at 5 p.m. They are going to make the parking lot available to the congregation from 4 o'clock p.m. Also, please know that we are going to close the parking lot again on the 7th of May for striping. Those days the office will be closed because Cora, Lani, and I won't have anywhere to park, so we'll be working from home those days. Also, a cup of cold water is back up and running, and it's interesting. Listen to some of these facts about a cup of cold water. They've driven 28 miles in the last since the beginning of the year. They've distributed 175 bottles of water and 3 cases to Ka'ohana Kitchen. They've distributed 175 hygiene kits and given 50 to the Salvation Army for a total of 225. They've distributed 175 first aid kits and given 50 to the Salvation Army for a total of 225. given out 1,400 various items of food, 160 clothing items, 170 masks, and over 15 Bibles and daily breads. Also, it says on the list here, Smiles and Compassion Unlimited. And their guiding light is Proverbs 22:2. The rich and the poor have this in common. The Lord is maker of them all. So please continue to support A Cup of Cold Water through your donations and through your prayers, especially prayers of thanksgiving. The Ka'ohana Kitchen this past week was under the care of Sana Evangelista and Ed Evangelista's classmates from St. Anthony's School. Next week, the Kromp Ohana will be taking care of the Ka'ohana Kitchen. We, in Centering Prayer, have completed Father James Martin's book, The Seven Last Words, and the next book we're going to look at is Immortal Diamond by Richard Rohr. We meet via Zoom at 4 o'clock on Tuesdays. Please join us for Centering Prayer. We read for 20 minutes, discuss what we've read for 20 minutes, and then spend 20 minutes in silent prayer. So please join us. For those of you who would like to get Richard Rohr's book, Immortal Diamond, the Kindle version is $12, and there is a free Kindle app available for phones, tablets, and computers, so you don't have to go and buy a Kindle. So please consider joining us. We do continue with our regular schedule of Saturday and Sunday services. Saturday, 5 p.m., Holy Eucharist in person in the courtyard. Sunday, 7 a.m., virtual Liturgy of the Word. Sunday, 9 a.m., Holy Eucharist here in the courtyard, unless it rains. If it rains, then we go inside the church like we did last Sunday. By the way, I want to thank whatever little angel took care of my alb for me. I had the intention of bringing it home to wash, and I crumpled it up and threw it on the top shelf, and then promptly forgot about it. And then when I went to record the virtual service on Wednesday, I found my alb all nicely hung and ironed. I don't know who did that, but whoever did, thank you so very much. Father Moki needs the TLC, so thank you. I did go out and visit Jay Van Zwazenberg on Tuesday at her home in Ku'au. She was so happy to get communion, and I mentioned different people's names, and she was very excited to hear the names of people here in the church. We've had a Buildings and Grounds Committee meeting this week, a vestry meeting, the minutes from last month and the financials from last month will be distributed sometime today for all of you. And also, I've had a number of different pastoral conversations with folks this week, so very busy, but very, very rewarding and life-giving ministry here for me personally. Our prayers this week in the diocesan cycle will be praying for St. Mark's in Kapuhulu, for the Reverend Paul Lilly, the rector there, and his husband, Jason O'Donnell. We'll also be praying for St. Matthew's in Waimanalo, and for their vicars, Ha'aheo Guanson, Jar Pasalo, and Jennifer Latham. For those of you who don't know, Jennifer Latham is a priest in the Diocese of Hawaii, recently ordained to the priesthood, and the wife of the president of Punahou Schools. So please keep all of them in your prayers. Then we have a number of people who we are remembering in our cycle of prayer. First, we have Mark the Evangelist, like as in the Gospel of Mark, but turns out that wasn't really his words. It might have been his writing. The Apostle Peter had a co-worker who he referred to as my son Mark. And it said that in describing the origins of the gospel, Papias, who is an early 2nd century writer, talked about Mark being the interpreter of Peter, and that he wrote down, not in order, but wrote down the stories that he'd heard people tell in his preaching about the lives of Jesus. So because he was the scribe, the gospel is attributed to him. That's Mark. Then we have Zita of Tuscany. She's an Italian saint and the patron saint of maids and domestic servants. And she's also, you can pray to her in order to help find lost keys. Also, her body is still on display, and she is uncorrupted. I believe that's the term, because her body is still there. It didn't like rot and go into the ground like other bodies do. Then we have Christina Rosetti, who is a poet, and the interesting thing is she wrote a long poem called Goblin Market, and then she wrote another love poem called Remember, and the lyrics of In the Bleak Midwinter. You know, we sing that at Christmas. In the bleak midwinter, snow on snow. I think that's how it goes. Please do not give me a rating for my singing. Then we have Catherine of Siena. She was a stigmata, in other words, the wounds in Jesus' hands and feet and along the forehead from the crown of thorns manifested in her, and she had wounds in her hands and her feet and along her forehead. Let me see, what else can I tell you? She became a nurse, and she cared for patients with leprosy and advanced cancer whom other nurses didn't want to treat. So that speaks to the kindness and compassion of her heart. Then we have Sarah Josefa Hale. She was an American writer and an editor, and she is the person who wrote Mary Had a Little Lamb. You know, Mary had a little lamb, little lamb, little lamb. Mary had a little lamb, fleece as white as snow. Everywhere that Mary went, Mary went, Mary went. Everywhere that Mary went, the lamb was sure to go. Guess who used to teach nursery school, ladies and gentlemen? Ha ha! Very appropriate that the author of Mary Little Lamb is being honored in the week where we have our commemoration of the Good Shepherd. Finally, we have Philip and James. James is called James the Less to distinguish him from the other apostle by the same name. There were two Jameses. The other one was the son of Zebedee. So to distinguish him, we call him James the Less, not because he was less important, but because he was smaller in stature than James, the son of Zebedee. And then we also have Philip, who was a married man with children, but did not hesitate when asked to follow the Lord. He was also famous in the gospel story of the feeding of the 5,000, saying, you know, how are we going to feed all these people? And so let's get loaves and fishes and do what we can. So those are the people whom we are commemorating this week. Also, our senior warden, Peter Lee, asked me to remind you all that yesterday, April 21st, was the birthday of Queen Elizabeth II in England, who recently lost her husband, Prince Philip. And Queen Elizabeth of England and Peter's mother share the same birthday. So in light of that, everybody, for the chicken of the week this week, I would like to name the chicken of the week Elizabeth. Elizabeth is a chicken who was in Paia at Maui Yogashala, where I had lunch on Tuesday. And Elizabeth went and sat on her throne at the restaurant at Maui Yogashala, and was very regal and looking around at all her subjects. And then this male chicken popped up from down below. I thought, oh my goodness, is Philip coming up from the vault at St. George's Chapel in Windsor to say happy birthday to Queen Elizabeth? We don't know. But for embodying the spirit of Queen Elizabeth, whose birthday was yesterday, we name Elizabeth the chicken of the week. Take care, everybody. Thank you, and God bless.